welcome back to the Overwatch Pacific Championship Week 6, day number 2. I'm Dallas Easy Fight Today. Joining me here on the couch, Matt Smite Ross, Kevin Averill Walker, and we've just seen AHQ Esports Club take down Hong Kong Attitude in quite convincing fashion, 3-1. And now it's going to be Team Fireball's turn to see if they can topple the very scary looking AHQ squad.
I'm scared. I don't know about you guys.
Oh, I'm quaking in my boots, mate. Quaking in my boots.
I'm scared because I want to watch 5 games, but Fireball, they're going to have to really impress us, really bring out something new if they can go the distance against AHQ. And if maybe they can do a 3-0, but I mean, that's going to be even more magical, more of a miracle they need to bring out.
Sorry.
Carries was unsure of which side of the stage he...
Which way are we going, bro? Maybe he's going for a little hug, a little pre-match hug there.
I'll tell you who will be going for a pre-match hug. It is going to be Fireball.
Well, I think we've seen old Apudo going for pre-match hugs with the rest of his crew there.
I mean, Fireball have said that in regards to Apudo, they're all more than friends with him.
What?
It was in an interview.
They're all more than friends with
They're
him.
more than friends. They work so well together, it's more than friends.
They're like brothers, right? I assume that's what they mean with that.
No, they're like super friends. That's got to be what they mean. These guys...
So what, they're like the Justice League, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what,
Justice League of Thailand Esports.
AHQ are the supervillains, or just another superhero team?
Surely the supervillains at this point.
I think blank are the supervillains of the tournament. They say themselves, they're like, we're basically the villains of the tournament because they don't have the local fans supporting them.
So that's totally true there.
Yeah. So I'd say AHQ, Flashwall, Smart Esports, probably all the superheroes here for the home crowd, of course.
Even Hong Kong Attitude because they got 5 Taiwanese players.
Yeah. But I mean, all said and done, evil is just a point of view.
Oh, insightful.
Is that how you justify your life choices?
Philosophical comments coming out from Smite tonight.
It's actually just a Star Wars quote.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really? In which Star Wars? Have I put you on the spot now?
Revenge of the Sith.
Wow, okay, I need a rewatch.
And just like Star Wars, though, we'll see if AHQ can indeed strike back.
I mean,
we'll see if Fireball can strike back because
pretty much.
Right now, Fireball need a new hope.
I mean,
coming up against AHQ.
It's not really striking back though, because Fireball have never destroyed AHQ's Death Star at all. So it's not really striking back. It's just AHQ just continuing to oppress the lower tier teams.
Fireball haven't really killed many Death Stars in their time. I'll say that much.
No, I mean, I guess if you would choose one of the players to be a Death Star, Dizzy, I suppose. But then like the rest of his team just builds a new one, bring one out in 12 seconds. I don't know. Like we're stretching this one to the limits.
Yeah, we are. We'll move on from this.
Yeah, me, just me,
just you.
So I mean, AHQ though, they did obviously drop a map, again to Hong Kong Attitude, and they have looked, I guess, a lot stronger. I didn't expect them to drop a map to Hong Kong Attitude. They sort of paid for, I guess, their over-aggression in that match up there. And that's why they obviously lost a map. But once they lost that, they were like, nope, we're done with this. We're not dropping any more maps. Let's just win this one out really quickly here. I guess, again, I always mention this, but this is where we are going to be able to see if Fireball have managed to, I guess, improve, coming up against a squad like AHQ who are so cohesive as a unit. They need far more than obviously just, the standout plays from, Apudo, NZNR and the like. They need to obviously be working as a single unit, and really, I guess, since they've been able to watch maybe that last match up there, they might be able to work out a little bit as to how AHQ are functioning. They might have a little bit to work with coming into this one, but I would be very surprised if they even pick up a map against AHQ.
Fireball just need very distinct game plans. They need very distinct goals and objectives in the actual games that they're playing, able to identify how are we actually going to win this, what is the other team going to do to win, to essentially complete their win condition as well, and what are we going to do to play around that. Something that Fireball so far have not really proven themselves to really have a good grasp of. AHQ, on the other hand, we've already talked about it, we've already seen it. Watch Hanamura again. It's just an incredibly well executed lineup.
I mean, even watch Point Gibraltar again on that first point as well, just in terms of how they executed their plan.
I mean, the side of AHQ really need no introduction. Obviously, we've just seen them play just before here, but for the side of Fireball, Apudo and NZNR sort of putting a lot of the work, on their shoulders there. I think Ninth is again really going to need to step up here. Same with obviously Zelfix on that tank, and I think it's going to be so hard for him obviously coming up against Eric, who's just looked so standout here tonight, and obviously Lazy Titan on that Diva is he's just a brick wall. He just doesn't let anything past.
And when he's not a brick wall, he's an avalanche of bricks. I don't know how to make that one work, but he's always up in your face. If he doesn't have to protect Dizzy, he'll take advantage of that. He'll get up in your face. There he is there.
Well, I'm really hoping we get to see a little bit of Ilios coming out, because that means we get to see Lazy Titan's Widow, most likely.
It is AHQ's pick, because it is a home day where they play 2 matches in a row on the home side. And Fireball would be the team more likely to pick Ilios, I've got to say. For AHQ, it's just back to the comfort pick. It's going to be back to Lijiang Tower. I'd be very surprised to see them deviate from it, especially when Fireball have been saying that they like these other maps.
I guess the other thing to sort of talk about as well is, like there's Rocket, you can see he's sort of really fallen into playing those sort of tank roles there. His ninth, obviously, his Zai has sort of been very standout, I feel. But again, coming up against the likes of AHQ, putting tank to tank, player to player.
Apudo swapped places with Kurlos, or Internar swapped places with Kurlos.
Maybe he just got a little bit further along the line.
Yeah, no, he's skipping the queue a little bit on that one.
There he is. Is he going to join the last players one as well?
That looks like the same Overwatch jacket that Jeff Kaplan has. I mean, not the exact same one. Yeah, no, he's literally wearing Jeff Kaplan's Overwatch jacket, the exact same one.
Kurlos is like, finally, I get my own player cam.
Kurlos is working on the May cosplay there with the jacket.
Just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're not gonna play with your seat that far back, are you? You're not lounging, are you?
He still ended up interrupting his player cam. Kurlos never gets a break. I say this every time this happens, but it's like the typical DPS trying to steal all the glory from the support. Apudo's attitude in game, same as it is out of game. That guy is a blast to watch.
But I mean, I guess also as well, he is one of the most standout personalities on the team there. A lot of them, a little bit quiet, I feel, but Apudo's really sort of, I guess, stepped up and really being that, look at me, guys.
It's almost the face of the team.
To be honest, though, that's kind of how his performance speaks as well. His performance is very much, he's the main dude in the team. Like, let's be real. He is the performer on his squad, in and outside of the game. And this is almost a bit of a trouble where I kind of say this about Zonda as well, but you want Apudo to just play everything on your team, because he is the best player on the team by far.
And this is, I think, the issue that Fireball have been running into. Like we sort of talked about it just before, about how they can't just keep relying on Apudo and NZ to really open this one up, especially against a squad like AHQ. And so this is where we really need to see, these other 4 players really come into their element, really need to sort of step up and be able to take it, to whoever's sort of playing their counterpart. It just seems as a unit, there's always someone, or some 2, or some 3, or even 4 that are sort of letting down the entire Fireball squad. And if maybe 3 of them are turned on, a couple of them are turned off.
That's the
I was
thing,
wondering how far you're going to go with that. Some 5, like, it's just like
6, 7, extending to the coach. But no. Okay, so I see what you're saying. And it's the difference between some of the lower teams and these teams sitting up in the top 3. Against AHQ, we've said it in the previous series, you can't just kill one guy. You can't just kill Dizzy and say, all right, cool, numbers advantage, let's head on in and take that point. Going up against AHQ, you've got to take down the whole team. For Fireball, though, it is a situation where, even to a point where Avra was describing, where you take down Apudo and Fireball seem in a bit of disarray. Well, and they're not able to come back.
The classic, we are going back to Lijiang Tower. They're not even going to give Fireball any kind of grounds to work with, not saying, hey, let's just pick Ilios. Let's just take it to them on their own sort of map there. So I guess, again, AHQ going to be feeling very comfortable on Lijiang Tower. Definitely showed Hong Kong attitude, the business end of the AHQ stick on that one. So going to be, again, Fireball. Very difficult for them to even pick up a map here, I feel.
To take it even a little bit more meta as well. Like, they're not picking any other maps because everyone already knows what AHQ plays like on Lijiang Tower. Why would you pick another map and say, oh, here's how we play on Ilios, by the way, if you didn't have enough research done on us. Here's how we play on Nepal. No, you're just going to see Lijiang Tower. Again, many teams pick it, so they're just going to pick it up as well. They're comfortable on it. Why would you pick anything else and give away any other information?
So coming off the back of that, as we sort of work towards, these later stages of the tournament, when we get out of sort of round robin play and stuff like that, do you think that we're going to see Oasis coming back into the fray? Do you think that Ilios and Nepal as well are going to be picked a little bit more because teams have some hidden strategies on control here?
I mean, it's possible, but I think we'll see that likely before the playoffs, if that's even going to be a thing. Because third and fourth round of round robin is going to be super important, especially from these teams trying to break into that top 3 where you have to pull out everything or you lose or you're kicked out of the top 3. And especially for that team that's trying to break into that first place, getting that big advantage.
I mean, we don't usually do this here, but any sort of final predictions there, Avril, before we get into this one?
Oh,
Oh, you got one for us?
3-0, but I don't know to who.
Hold on. That's
You don't know to who?
a very varied prediction.
It's gonna be tough.
It's going to be tough for someone.
Well, Fireball definitely going to be needing to fire up into this one, moments away from getting into Lijiang Tower. I am hoping to see Apudo just turn up immensely, go McCree, headshot for days, pick themselves up the first map here on control, and then build off that momentum, pick themselves up number 2 when they get their own pick.
You're a bit of a fan there, Easy.
I just want to see them do the unthinkable here and you know, get a win over AHQ, really throw a spanner in the works.
Deservedly so. I think Apudo deserves the fans because, you know, like again, an outstanding player and someone that really gives the fan service to. And really
He's a
puts
showman.
himself out
He's a
there.
showman for sure, you know?
Absolutely.
Absolutely deserves it, right? But I've got to say, bit of a Fireball fan myself. I love upsets as well whenever we can see them getting into just matches where someone's not expected to win them, but they pull something out. Even in the previous series, that Kings Row victory by Hong Kong Attitude, really excited to see that. So while I'd like to see Fireball take out Lijiang Tower here, it's going to be a long shot for them.
Well, I'm happy to see NZ switch off that Pharah there because same thing happened last time, and AHQ definitely know how to deal with that Pharah, and no time wasted at all. Eric just jumping straight in there, Kurlos stacked up with the rest of his team, taking a death for the boys right there, as the rest of Fireball also falling in there as well. Can't even fall back together enough. Control point unlocking in 5 seconds, so might be able to get themselves back and contest before this gets capped in the way of AHQ.
Probably not going to make it there, especially as they'd have to go in essentially alone. So AHQ now, while they won the fight pretty cleanly, there's not going to be any ults involved in this next fight. Now, I like Fireball moving in through this other path. It doesn't give as much mobility to the Winston to jump on them like they did. Erican is not going to get the same result he did with an initiation.
Yep, well, they are letting Kalman just sneak around the back lines. NZ just runs in front there, eats so much damage, falls down again. Fireball now 1 man down, trying to work their way into the point. Sound barrier coming out very early now for the side of Fireball. They do manage to pick themselves up a kill, equalize this one out, as Kalman, though, going to put it back in the favor of AHQ, and now has that pulse bomb to work with as well. All the ultimates actually coming up on the side of AHQ. That Primal Rage being used already. Sound barrier as well to keep them pushing through this fight there. Kurlos going to be hitting that Transcendence, but now Apudo hitting the Dragon Blade, finds a kill on a Crappy, finds Dizzy as well. Can he get that kill? Misses the dash. Very unfortunate for him there. That self-destruct though. They need to hide away from that one, and Apudo is going to fall there as well. Cap on 50% now for AHQ, as Fireball cannot find enough to really take the cap back here. And this Lijiang is looking very disastrous already.
Fireball have committed so much to this fight, and while they're getting even trades, things are looking okay for them. AHQ don't really care because they've been holding on to the point this entire time, and they've been using the ults reactively.
And indeed, there comes a sound barrier from Fireball yet again, trying to really brute force their way into this point. Almost capping this one out. Need to just find themselves a couple more kills as it's still being contested right now. And that will be what they were looking for, but still more contests coming out from the side of AHQ, really keeping this one alive here. 86%, Dizzy still up in the back. Now he's going to be the last player left here to really try to contest this, and now Fireball just a millimeter away from capping this one over. Crappy all over this, not letting them have it too easily, and still the side of AHQ trickling onto this. Dizzy going to be hitting that tactical visor, looking to clean up the rest of these players. Overtime ticking down as well, cleans up 9th on the mech. There's Zelfit's gone as well. No cap for Fireball and no contest, and AHQ pick up Gardens 100-0.
Absolutely no way there. We saw Fireball finally after about 75% was reached on the point for AHQ. You saw a lot of kills coming through for Fireball. You're thinking, okay, cool. They're going to cap the point here. Save your odds. Wait for them to come in. Oh, AHQ, they're getting a little bit too aggressive here. Maybe they're just throwing bodies at the point, not really getting anything out of it, but they got trade here and there. But the big thing was when Dizzy came back in with the tactical visor. No one was there to stop him, and he just mowed through Fireball.
Yeah, somehow him not really falling in that early fight there. You know, Apudo could have I guess, tried to, get that third kill with his dash reset. That really could have sort of built them a lot more momentum coming off the back of that, but hard luck there for Fireball as they move through. Let's see if they can make the necessary changes to actually get themselves a cap.
AHQ running a very similar composition to what they ran earlier tonight, but Fireball with the dive. They have to make the difference where Hong Kong Attitude could not. Run circles around these tanks, try and find those picks, but you have to be so careful. Dizzy, one flashbang can just pick up a very easy kill straight off the bat. So with the dive comp, they are actually forcing AHQ back because they are a slow composition. They can't just march forward very easily like Fireball can, dashing all over the place. But both teams with toes on their point. Someone has to initiate eventually.
Well, Fireball capping here. There is now congestion coming out from AHQ as they work their way slowly into the point. Now Apudo getting a nice dash through there, really opening up AHQ, but Enzidna almost drops into that fight there. Now Kalman super charged up. After this should be on 100. Indeed, Enzidna just falls right there. Kalman absolutely melting him. Grenade straight to the face. Apudo in quite a decent position up there, almost getting the Dragon Blade up. But 2 members down for the side of Fireball, and AHQ building all of these ultimates up. Kalman trying to lock him out of this fight completely here. And now AHQ getting the cap and getting aggressive.
So AHQ going to try and go for the spawn camp here, but they're not far enough forward to get to the door just yet. So Fireball will get a chance to come back in. You can throw out Sound Barrier, have that Dragon Blade, keep Apudo alive, but AHQ, they can just throw Dizzy out with the Deadeye and keep him alive.
Oh, now Apudo hitting that Dragon Blade up in the back lines. Huge sleep dart there. Apudo will not be able to find anything other than deaths from his Dragon Blade. Now Dizzy answering back with a Deadeye. Kurlos though, nicely timed Transcendence just to push them through this one. Can Dizzy try to sneak himself a kill? Not at all. They do pick themselves up one. They are looking for a second here, but Dizzy remaining very uncontested up in the back lines. Eric, though, will be there to help him out, as now the rest of Fireball again just dropping like flies into this one as well. Dizzy looking to clean the rest of Fireball up as they have to retreat yet again.
Fireball put so much into that fight right there. I mean, the biggest thing being that Nanoblade combo, put to sleep straight away, and Dizzy's happy to pick up the kill onto that one, which means AHQ can save a lot more ults for this next fight, 60%. They only need to win about 2 more fights. They can hold the fight at this choke point, and Cowman, with that Graviton Surge, should be able to pick up another ult for Dizzy if he wants to charge up there.
Yeah, there goes Rocket. He's taken out of this one early. Apudo had to retreat as well and get healed back up to full. Kurlos getting taken down as well, eating a fire strike to the face though. Apudo picking himself up a little bit more, but ends in 4 HP with that Biotic Grenade. The Graviton Surge coming through, lets Dizzy just clean up up here as well. Flashbang doesn't find its mark here, and Enzidna actually falls down to Lazy Titan shotguns there. So again, Fireball can't really find an answer for this just absolute brick wall that AHQ are putting in front of them.
Well, 10% to go, and Apudo is coming up to that Dragon Blade once more. No defensive ultimates to keep him alive. And he's going to be going straight into a Deadeye, which can be comboed with a Nano Boost if it needs to be. This is the best hope for Apudo and Fireball as a team. They need to get many kills with this Dragon Blade, but that's not going to happen.
Deadeye right onto Apudo there. They're not bothered about that. The sound barrier is now coming in from both sides to keep this fight going along here. And now the Transcendence as well from Kurlos. Fireball need to find some kills while this Transcendence is going off. And oh, what a huge flashbang there. Dizzy does fall down, but Crappy's there just to finish up the last few kills. Great Earthshatter as well. And this is surely going to be all AHQ as they just clean up the last of these Fireball members. They can trickle on. They can keep this one alive if they want to. But with the overtime ticking down and AHQ just having such good position on the point, they're surely picking up map number 2, and now on map number 3, Fireball need to make some drastic changes.
And the biggest swing fight there just had to be that Nanoblade being put to sleep. 2 ultimates completely wasted. They didn't even win the fight for them. It just got shut down immediately. And then from then on, AHQ were just always in the lead. In fact, after the first fight, they were really always in the lead, but that was the time to come back for Fireball, and they couldn't manage it. So it's going to be AHQ on match point. Fireball needing to win 3 stages in a row, and at this point, it's just looking too one-sided in AHQ's favor.
Yeah, Fireball going to need to get the broom out and go for that reverse sweep, but seems very unlikely when AHQ's broomstick is already out, and they're just looking for the clean sweep. 3-0 here, and now AHQ changing things up just a little bit. Going to have Kalman on the Genji now.
Yep, running that triple DPS. No, sorry, double DPS composition. It's pretty standard, pretty normal. NZNR really has to find value on this Tracer.
Oh,
have not seen him get any value kills. This might be the one here.
That's it. That's what they needed, and that's the issue. You know, not picking Dizzy there goes for Carez. Now they've got that player advantage. This is when they need to strike. They need to get in there right now. They need to capitalize off taking down Carez before he manages to get back in this fight here. Now Lazy Titan forced to fall back. Also, surely now Fireball must be able to get themselves a cap, but AHQ very prepared for this. Nope, Fireball do get themselves the cap.
Well, AHQ shouldn't have to worry too much about it if they can just come back in and cap it straight away, but Fireball didn't win a big team fight at the start, so there's not going to be any huge ultimate advantage, so AHQ can just go in and outfrag.
And now AHQ answer back, taking themselves as Zenyatta early into this fight, and now the rest of the team there, Zelfix and Rocket going to be taken out of this one. The tank on the side of AHQ is taken down here. Lazy Titan, though, doing a good job just to stagger this one through, managing to sustain through this as well. 50 HP and a dream as Kalman just looking to finish up the last few players here on the Fireball side. And AHQ answer back, recap, Fireball only getting 27%.
Well, Fireball, they bought a few extra seconds, a few extra percentage points, but AHQ are happy to just build ultimate charge off of the bodies thrown at them. They haven't used any of their own. They don't even have pulse bombs to throw out randomly. These are all very impactful ultimates. NZNR didn't find any value on his one, and once again, we're down to a Pudo and his Dragon Blade. They have to go in and just bait out ultimates from AHQ right here. There's no hope for Fireball to actually win a fight here.
But Kalman already getting that pick onto Rocket without even having to use the Dragon Blade of his own, going to really send Fireball back and have to get them to rethink themselves again. Now he's caught Apudo's position as well, so now Apudo can't even set up for that sort of surprise Dragon Blade, and now they're actually stacking up in the very in the inside here. Apudo gets taken out, gets nothing with the Dragon Blade there. Absolutely now a disaster for Fireball. Sound barrier coming in to try and really push the side through, but AHQ have a sound barrier of their own, Transcendence as well from Kurlos. Dizzy being pressured immensely right now. Can he survive through this? Looks very unlikely, and that's going to be good now. Rocket managing to take him down here. But are the rest of the AHQ side here and ready to answer? Indeed they are. Dragon Blade now coming out from Kalman, really looking to clean up the rest of this fight. And look at this, it's just going to be the rest of Fireball running away with their tails between their legs, and AHQ still in control, 70% on the cap.
AHQ getting a little bit frisky on that one at the end there. Probably Dragon Blade might have been able to be saved there, but hey, look, it's securing them the point. They're sitting at just under 80%. This is realistically just one more fight for Fireball to get back in here. They don't even have Apudo's Dragon Blade. They're going to have to find a magical self-destruct. And with one member down already and relying on an inconsistent ult, this is looking grim for Fireball.
Most definitely here. Kurlos obviously going down as well. The Dream, Apudo's out of this one here as well. NZNR eats a boot to the face, gets smacked out by Crappy here. And surely this is going to be AHQ coming up with the win. There it is, the self-destruct in a Dream.
6 kills.
Not even keeping this one into overtime. And AHQ clean up Lijiang Tower 3-0. What a surprise.
Well, Avril said it was going to go 3-0 to someone.
Play of the match.
Who would have known it was going to be AHQ?
Surely this has to be on Gardens. Surely.
Yeah, there it is. And this is actually where he came back in near the end. Wasn't taken out during the fight. And, well, when there's no D.Va blocking out your shots, you're just going to kill everyone, because a lot of them were just squishy DPS as well. Very easy. Very easy to get the kills.
So, how do we feel?
Yeah,
Are you surprised? Are you shocked?
man, I mean, I think this is... I just want to be able to speak to what AHQ were doing mostly. I think that's kind of where I'm going to get to here. And it's essentially Dizzy playing safe, long-range hit scan the entire time of control. And this is the thing for AHQ, is they kind of use Dizzy as a crutch there. Now, what teams need to be able to take advantage of is you need to force Dizzy onto Tracer. If you can force Dizzy onto Tracer, his Tracer, again, is not the best Tracer in the tournament. So forcing Dizzy onto Tracer on control anyway, is how you pressure AHQ out. Now that's something Blank and Flashwalls are going to be able to safely do, and you will see it, because if Dizzy walks out with the Soldier or a McCree on control maps, he's going to get insanely pressured. You should be able to force him off. He can't just play those type of DPS picks against teams like Blank and Flashwalls, and I think that's what teams need to be able to identify and hopefully execute on where the weak areas of AHQ are.
It's also similar to when they were playing up against Hong Kong Attitude on Lijiang Tower. Dizzy also felt very untouched, to the point where Lazy Titan could just do whatever he wanted. Usually when Dizzy's pressured, you do see Lazy Titan pressured back and starts to protect him, which takes him out of the fight. Takes him and Dizzy to a point out of the fight, and suddenly your team can win that 5v4 that's happening on the other side of the map. But that's not happening on Lijiang Tower, not against Fireball, not against Hong Kong Attitude. Dizzy can just roam free, which not only allows soldiers very high DPS to just go uncontested, but also an entirely other player. Lazy Titan is able to fly around and actually do damage and protect the other members of his team. Let's not forget those guys exist too.
So you can probably speak to this a little bit. Avril here. When they came up against Hong Kong Attitude, they don't charge straight head first into the fight just like they did against Fireball. Is that because they catch Fireball, sort of they see Ana, a little bit out of position, stacked up with the rest of the team, and they're just like, yep, let's go? Or is it due to the fact that they are playing Fireball and they think that they can get away with such an aggressive play on stage 1 on Gardens there, how they just sort of leap in straight away the second they see the Fireball squad?
That's just the standard play for any Winston in a composition run by just kind of anybody. It's jump your Winston in there, get your secondary DPS in a sort of like a hit squad as well, and get the 1-2 punch combo in there. We saw that with Bacon Jack and Jongy yesterday. We see that now with Cowman and Eric as well. And then you've got Dizzy once again safely at the back, untargeted, unable to be targeted as well, because initiation always falls onto AHQ's lap first. They are always the one able to identify where the initiation is and then take advantage straight away, whereas Fireball seemed to be a little bit late to the party, a couple of steps behind there. And even if we want to talk about Garner specifically, Erikin went onto him. That shouldn't have been a successful kill. Kurlos missed the timing on his bio grenade. I saw the animation come out, but the bio grenade didn't land. He got killed just in time. If he had managed to get the bio grenade off, he would have been healed back up. Erikin would have been anti-healed, and then he might have been fine. But, little mistakes like that really cost him his life.
And so I guess that goes back to what we were talking about before this matchup started. Are the rest of the Fireball squad, really sort of, I guess, at that level of play? Can they really improve and be, I guess, a competitive team in this tournament? They are sitting, they can sort of, start reaching up towards, into the sort of top 5 teams here if they sort of work out these kinks, I feel. But can they do it in time before, I guess, the round robin stages are over?
I mean, you can see your hero picks on the screen right now. We only went to round 3, so there's no reason to fill out those last 2 ones, but pretty much identical for Fireball across the whole 3 series, but AHQ actually did swap a few things up. So that shows that they're willing to just find the strengths on these different maps, on these different stages within Lijiang Tower, whereas Fireball, this is not actually something we've talked about tonight, but we talk about every other night, is that they feel locked into Rocket on that Winston. They'll play it every single time. And occasionally they'll be very backed into a corner, maybe at the very end of King's Row, where they feel like, okay, we'll bring out the Reinhardt. But apart from that, it's Winston, Winston, Winston. And you can see that reflected right there.
They're also locked into a Puto playing Genji in a sort of as well, because they have to play Winston, they also have to have Winston backup. Now, yeah, they put NZ on the Tracer, it's not enough. The only time they're really coming out ahead on those dives is when a Puto is also playing the Genji. Now, when you look at what AHQ are doing, they don't have to play Genji anymore. They can play Dizzy onto Soldier, onto McCree quite safely, because Viable don't even touch him. The other problem I highlighted earlier on today is, while you do want the Genji support for a dive, Genji itself in a void, in its own little vacuum, is no longer a good pick in the current meta. Caputo, how many times did he die during Dragonblade without really getting any results? You're either committing 1 or at worst 2 ultimates into a single Dragonblade for nothing. It's really becoming really sets you quite far behind. And not only that, but for Fireball going up against AHQ is quite obvious, but even when you have 2 evenly matched teams, even when you're a team that's rather ahead, this is the kind of thing that just happens to you on Genji anyway, despite any disparity in skill. It's just where Genji is sitting in this current meta, and it's not getting the results anymore.
It can feel a little bit almost binary with his ultimate, right? A Nanoblade combo can absolutely clean up an entire team, and that's the thing though. If you are hit by 1 sleep dart, suddenly that story is all over. You're not going to get anything out of it, and that is exactly what we saw on Control Center.
Well, Fireball really loving to throw, I guess, really liking to mix things up here. We're getting into Eichenwalde, Fireball's pick here, so this is where we might get to see them, I guess, have a little bit of an upset, show us some things we really haven't seen. I think we've seen Eichenwalde played like once or twice.
Twice,
About
maybe
twice.
3 times.
Twice?
About twice, I think.
So I mean, this is where maybe Apudo is going to be able to get off the Genji.
No, probably not.
Nah,
I mean, he may play the soldier, which is again good, but Rocket is going to be stuck onto the Winston, I believe, still. Now we've seen a little bit of Rocket Reinhardt, but it was so brief. It's hard to get a gauge on exactly what he can do with that. But there's an obvious reason that they're not bringing out the Reinhardt, and it's partly due to the fact that the current meta isn't really warranting Reinhardt in a lot of cases, but also because I just don't think Rocket is experienced on Reinhardt at all, whereas Winston is a lot easier for the team to be able to grasp. Yeah, I think Fireball, they are a bit stuck, and we have seen them play Eichenwalde before, and it was against Blank, and I'm going to be honest, it wasn't a super hot performance.
Just coming off the back of that though, we've seen AHQ, they really do still run that Reinhardt, you know, Eric's Reinhardt is real good. So like, is there a way for teams to sort of work around, you know, the fact that they can maybe expect the Reinhardt composition coming out from AHQ?
I don't expect any team to run a tank like a real shield Reinhardt based composition on attack. It's just too dive favored for you to get in there, get through that bridge choke point, and then actually just contest people on all the different levels, not just the first point.
People don't hold the bridge choke point anymore though.
No, but like if that were an option, I'm also extending it over to the point as well, where there's different levels of elevation, where you can be up in the balcony, just up in different areas, and also past that from the first point onto the second checkpoint, where elevation is a huge thing, where getting people off of that high ground is very important. And Reinhardt, contrary to what I thought before, cannot fly, cannot jump.
Unless
Unless you mean
this
Supreme.
This is where you were meant to be like, if he finds a ramp.
If he finds a ramp,
Yes,
but there's no good ramps. Not in Eichenwalde. They don't believe in it.
No, they're all about those stairways to heaven, I believe. But looking to get into Eichenwalde, going to be Fireball's pick, currently trailing against AHQ Esports Club, down 1-0. Apudo, there he is. He's going to need to definitely turn up here. Needs to find a little bit more than what he obviously got in Control. But I think coming up against a side like AHQ in Control, it's very, very hard to obviously, you know, topple all 6 members since they're all so individually skilled. This is where they might be able to sort of, you know, work, I don't want to call it a cheese strap, but they might be able to get themselves a bit of a surprise. It really depends, obviously, if they are going attack or defense first as well. They must have something, though, you know, in the back pocket for this.
The thing is, that's difficult to do when you're locked into Winston every single time. You can't just play like a protect the Bastion on the payload composition, or just even Bastion on defense, because you generally want a Reinhardt to go with that. And if Rocket's not playing that, then that surprising composition's not going to come out.
Well, Fireball really changing things up now.
Yep, Rocket on Winston, who would have thought?
Yeah. Apudo on Genji, NZ on Tracer,
Very similar
Zalpix
composition.
on Lucio, Kurlos on Zenyatta.
So for the 4th time in a row, if you count all 3 stages of Lijiang Tower, Fireball sticking with the same composition. Maybe the Ana gets swapped in a few times here and there, but AHQ, they're going to be rocking the shield-based Brawl composition, the Come At Me Bro composition, which does fare pretty well against Dive. They'll dive in and suddenly flashbang, charges are there, you've got shields as well. But look, if you take Dizzy out at the start of the match, you've got numbers
Well,
advantage.
Fireball definitely coming at AHQ, bro, as they do manage to take Dizzy down, forcing the rest of AHQ back. This is going to be their moment to push in. Discord Orb right on top of Eric, as Apudo is going to be able to clean him up there as well. Now Apudo looking for his 2nd kill of the match here. And it's going to be, looks like it's going to be Crappy just having a little bit of a contest on the point now. Surely, Apudo, you can land these hits, take him down. Indeed, there goes Crappy as well. And this is going to be Fireball cleaning AHQ up very quickly onto the first cap here.
Welcome to King's Row, again, apparently, because AHQ just seem to have trouble on these first points here. So we'll move into the payload section. Fireball with a surprisingly good first push, and they're going to get aggressive. They're going to move up and contest this high ground. You knock that Reinhardt off, he has to take a long walk to get back up there.
Oh, Kalman with that surprise change over onto the Hog will take down Intinar, but the Pulse Bomb does find Dizzy. And now Apudo with the Dragon Blade. Watch out for this. This could be all they need to win this next fight if he does get himself into a good position here. Intinar now trying to get himself back to the fight, back into the fray. But now, control of the high ground, fallen in to the way of AHQ. Now Apudo hits the Dragon Blade. The Nano Boost there coming out for the side of AHQ. Now Apudo having to waste a little bit of time. and he's not going to be able to find anything with this force completely back there. Kurlos did that Transcendence as well to really try to push them through it here as he falls over as well. Rocket with the Primal Rage. Earthshatter coming through. NZNA taken out again, and now AHQ should surely be able to stabilize off the back of this. Eric finding great charge through there as well to find that kill onto Zalfix.
And Dizzy, that entire time, just stood on top of the castle. So he's going to be completely fine. Yeah, Apudo, during his Dragon Blade, didn't even think about contesting him, just kept slicing at the tanks, who were pretty happy to deal with that, especially through a sound barrier. He was never going to find a kill on them. Apudo, if he's got to find some kind of value in this, he needs to go up there and contest Dizzy.
Now, NZNA needs to get himself in a good position, does have the Pulse Bomb to work with, so needs to really open this pickup. But look at that, there is a great sort of a side flank there coming out from a couple of the AHQ members. Now, that's what I was talking about. NZNA finding the pick onto Karez, has control of this high ground now, trying to really contest Dizzy. And that's going to be great stuff for Fireball as they drop Kalman down on the low ground here as well. Rocket now trying to get right into the thick of things, taking down Eric here as well. This is great for Fireball now, definite man advantage. Lazy Titan trying to hold on to this for as long as he can, falling down also. Dizzy though picks that kill up onto NZNA on the high ground. Not much he can do while the rest of his team are dead though.
Well, I mean, that's great that he manages to win the duel against NZNR, but he bought enough time and killed Keras as well to just take Dizzy out of the fight. That's 0 DPS available for AHQ.
Apudo with the Dragon Blade now really trying to open this one up, but Kalman with the whole hog makes him sends him back to spawn with this. AHQ still 3 ultimates in the bank as well. Kalman just finds the melee attack right into NZNA's face as well. Hook just off target a little bit there, but he's not too worried. They've already thwarted the attack here that's been thrown at them by Fireball.
Fireball are slowly getting forward with every few fights, but this one, the last one that they just had, Apudo Dragon Blade shut down once more, just taken out of the fight straight away. That's going to be a long time until we see that one again. No defensive ultimates placed on him either, no sound barrier, and not even a Transcendence, just to keep him alive.
Oh, crappy though. Great dash there from Apudo to pick him up. Now that tactical visor from Dizzy looking to really lay into the side of Fireball here. Apudo though all over him, but Dizzy coming out on top of this one. He's got the nano boost to work with as well. And look at this, AHQ team wiping Fireball, not even losing anyone else after Crappy fell early into that fight.
Well, they had to put in a lot to get that result. About 4 ultimates there just to hold the payload, but it is going to be now a very long respawn for Fireball, but they do have a very long time to work with, still 2 minutes, and that's mostly because of how quickly they caught up that first point. Oh, if Cowman can pick up a kill here, that's just massive, massive. Oh, he gets a hook, but it's going to be a big mech instead, and actually loses a lot of health for that.
Yeah, but hits the whole hog, almost getting himself in that very enclosed inner castle space there. And Dizzy, though, picking the kill up onto NZNA yet again. So now 1 player down for the side of Fireball. Apudo has a Dragon Blade again, and let's hope it's not another repeat of what we've seen since the start of this matchup here. He needs to get at least 2 kills with this.
And NZNR also used his Pulse Bomb during that, which means that's something that could have impacted the fight that they're not going to have now. They're taking the control on the high ground here. And AHQ, they are coming up to their own ultimates, right? Which means that they are going to be pretty safe in this next fight.
NZNA spending the majority of the Eichenwalde in spawn there. Zalfix dropping as well, so Dizzy just, oh my goodness, Apudo just crawling right up into Kalman's sides there, getting taken out here as well, so Fireball not even able to really mount a solid offense at the moment. AHQ just picking off 1 by 1 of these Fireball players, really rough.
And we're back to basics once more with the Nano Visor combo, just ready to go for AHQ. That's way too powerful for Fireball to shut down. Oh no, Kurlos.
And there it is again, Dizzy picking up one of these Fireball players. Now Sound Barrier coming in. This is going to be very questionable now for the side of Fireball. They need to come out big. Zalfix already taken out. Rocket getting taken down as well. Apudo doesn't even get into position to use the Dragon Blade. And I mean, very questionable usage of the Sound Barrier there. Oh, and Apudo dies.
A late kill onto Apudo. Fireball, they still had about 45 seconds left. They could have waited for Kurlos. Now, that's not to say the fight would have gone differently, but it would have been a much better shot than a 5v6. Now you don't have Sound Barrier. Now you've got about 15 seconds to go, and you're still trying to run out of spawn while the hail of bullets comes from the roof from Dizzy.
And not only that, they've got to be walking into 6 ultimates as well. You know, Eric almost at Earthshatter there. Kalman should have the hog up before a couple of these ultimates are being used. Apudo already just pushed out here by a couple of these AHQ players. It's going to be Lazy Titan throwing out that self-destruct. picking himself up one. Oh, ninth. Where did that self-destruct come from, though? Picks himself up a double, and out of nowhere, Fireball finding themselves some kills, but Lazy Titan saying absolutely no way, Jose, just stopping the rest of Fireball in their tracks here. But still, the fight is a little bit messy. It is indeed continuing on. Kurlos finding a very big kill onto Eric, and surely they are pushing the cart forward.
Oh man, Lazy Titan and Cowman gonna sneak up the stairs as well, basically coming back with the rest of their team. They actually can contest here. This is at a distance for Fireball. They've got a Primal Rage to stall things out, to build up the odds for the rest of their team. That pick on the Cowman's actually pretty big. One Pulse Bomb, if you can get to it, should get the fight for Fireball.
But Cowman did pick that kill up onto Kurlos as well. Now the sound barrier for the side of Fireball as well, pushing them through onto this one. Crappy taken out there. Pulse Bomb finds nothing there. Now here comes a self-destruct from Lazy Titan. Takes out NZ and R. We're so very close. 4 meters away from this one being capped over by Fireball now. But AHQ finding themselves some kills. And the man himself, Dizzy, just going to town on the side of Fireball here. Very much uncontested. Having a very easy time at tracking these last few squishy players down. Aputo's going to fall. And AHQ going to be able to hold this meters away from Fireball capping point number 2.
So a very surprising result after that final fight. Well, the final contest on the payload, where they got a few self-destruct kills. That usually should not happen, but they get them anyway, and they get a little bit of added distance onto the payload, right? Which is it's fantastic, but it's still not to the end of the second checkpoint.
You have some knowledge.
Yeah,
to
so
drop?
that first attack from Fireball, that is exactly what they also did to Blank, and Blank had the exact same response where all 6 of them died without killing a single Fireball member. So Fireball repeated that same success again against HQ. I don't know if it's now 2 flukes in a row, but it's crazy because every time it's Fireball coming in, they get an initial pick off, AHQ and Blank just kind of I don't know what's going on. And they kind of sit there for a bit. Fireball then get a second kill, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, they cap. And that's now happened twice in a row.
So against Blank, I remember this one. It was off of a sleep dart onto a Pharah.
Yeah.
And
so
they capitalize on that straight away. And that's great. You know, you hit a very hard to hit skill shot, and you capitalize on it. This one, it felt a little bit similar. I believe
just headshots from Kurlos.
Yeah, it was Kurlos. Kurlos got the headshots, and there was clearly damage from someone else as well. And they just got a kill straight away. And they immediately jumped onto it. And this is also a composition where AHQ are running Dizzy as their only DPS, which means there's not a lot of damage left. And even though he's Soldier, he can sprint back to the point.
He was McCree.
Was McCree? Oh, no, yeah, he wasn't. He was McCree at that point, yeah. But in any case, that just makes my point even more strong, right? Is that couldn't get back to the point in time. And even these tanks and these healers just could not last against Fireball.
But I mean, that's the thing, you know, just Dizzy on the DPS there. All they did is switch up Cowman from Zarya to Hog. Nice little change, obviously, and all they did is just play the picking game, you know? Pick one player off, stop Fireball's attack. Pick one player off, stop Fireball's attack. But now, AHQ on the offense. See if they can do it with the same haste that Fireball threw at them, and we're going to see the Dizzy May.
Yeah, I thought we were going to see the Junkrat as well, but that's sad. But we've seen May played on Eichenwalde as well before. It's great at just letting your team take the path you want with basically 0 contest. It's also a big brawling composition, so they want to get up nice and close. May letting you do that is fantastic. Doesn't have to use the Ice Block a little bit early, but won't be too impactful. They can just wait a few seconds until it's back up, take the point. Really need to start utilizing this wall so that they can move in.
Well, AHQ wanting the side of Fireball to come out and face them. They find that kill there onto Rocket as well. Kurlos dropping, he gets taken out as well. Now AHQ doing a very similar quick attack here, finding themselves a pair, getting themselves all over this point. Now Puto going to be caught out in the outer house as well. No, somehow manages to escape with his life intact. Really unsure about this one. Ninth going to be the one to fall there on the Soldier. And AHQ with an extremely quick attack here. Fireball should just retreat off this and recover. Don't give away too much charge, but they are just throwing bodies at the point here to keep this one alive, but it won't be alive for long as AHQ pick up cap number 1. And 5 minutes left to go though, now payload.
Dizzy with a Blizzard is going to completely deny any contest up onto this high ground by Fireball. Fireball are going to have to hope to fight on the ground right now. They've got 2 flankers that are just going to be slowed down. The Pulse Bomb is quite nice. We'll see what the Blizzard does though.
Puto with the Dragon Blade as well, going to be finding himself a little bit of a mech there. He's going to have Ninth to back him up. Oh, the sleep out though. Look at this, the Carrier's trying to get right in his face there. Support versus DPS, he's not scared in any way, shape or form. Puto getting quite aggressive up in the front lines. Does have NZ now by his side, but Puto eats the hammer there of Eric in.
Well, AHQ, they're coming up to a very multiple ultimates there. That's, you know, super multiple ultimates. The door hasn't even opened for the payload there. Blizzard has finally been thrown out. I feel like perhaps Dizzy is looking to swap, just using a zoning Blizzard there just to push the payload inches forward. And this positioning just straight into the backline. HQ are pretty happy with how things are going. They're going to get payload distance anyway.
Yeah, Fireball, you know, throwing up the Blizzard there. I think they'll be pretty happy with that. You know, they managed to get the sound barrier out from the side of Fireball. They got a lot of ultimate charge. For some reason, Fireball really tried to get super aggressive there and push through, and it really didn't work out for them. And now AHQ looking in a very good spot. If they can get themselves a couple of kills. Dizzy, he's the best DPS May around, taking 9th out with this one. Still up in the front lines as well. Look at this, managing to make a lot of these Fireball players retreat off him, and look at him just trying to get this kill onto NZNR. Landing that headshot would be huge right here.
That's a one-shot kill. I mean, NZNR just cannot afford to get hit by that. Luckily, he does manage to dodge it, but there's the nano boost.
Right onto Kalman as he drops the hog here. Transcendence being used for the side of Fireball. Earthshatter coming through as well. 9th with the tac visor. Moderately uncontested as well, so self-destruct from Lazy Titan looking to blow some of these Fireball players away. Doesn't connect with anything here. Now Apudo still holding onto the Dragon Blade, so Fireball should be able to hold the defense down here.
Yeah, trying to be conservative with their ultimates because of course they have to be. Apudo needs to hold on to that Dragon Blade for the next fight. Can't afford to just throw it out here. AHQ used a lot of resources during that, swapping Dizzy onto Soldier as well. Had enough of the May, but picking up those 2 kills. This is going to send Fireball into final fight mode here as the payload is going to pass the second corner, picking up another kill.
Ninth sent falling to his doom from a great boot from Crappy there. Dizzy trying to get a little bit of the KS, the kill secured coming through. Nice hook there from Kalman just to finish Kurlos off as well. And payload now moving forward. Is anyone from the side of Fireball ready to contest this? Where are they? Apudo, you need to get in there. Hits the Dragon Blade, goes straight for Dizzy up the back. Manages to catch him. Now this is going to be big here. Needs to pick himself up a second. Ooh, that charge was very, very bold coming through. Now Eric pays with his life there. Now surely Fireball can hold on to this one with only Lazy Titan and Crappy left here on the point. And indeed they do so. Fireball with 2 meters left. Somehow holding on, and ultimate's looking good.
Still looking. 2 minutes to go. And Fireball got a lot of distance in their own last 2 minutes, even if it took a little while to actually get the payload moving. But 9th, he's got his tactical visor. It's going to be a big, big target. But who's actually on AHQ who can get to him, right? You've got Lazy Titan, that's about it. That's the only member that's going to contest, but not if he just gets ambushed.
Unbelievable stuff here coming up from the supports on AHQ. They're like, hang on mates, we'll just go deal with 9th.
Did you hear something?
Down here, and that is absolutely huge. When things look like they were all coming up in Fireball's favor, AHQ all over this one like butter on the bread there. And now Dizzy up in the back lines. The tactical visor coming out from 9th. He manages to make his way back into the fight. He will not be able to find enough damage as he eats a fire strike to the face, only getting himself a mech. And surely this is going to be AHQ picking themselves up Eichenwalde. And indeed, it is. AHQ leading 2-0. Who would have thought?
A little bit of a better performance out from Fireball, especially on their initial attack. Getting 1 kill at the start of it, just like they did against Blank, is a fantastic way to take that first point. But they definitely struggled during the second checkpoint. And on defense, well, there wasn't anything too impressive. AHQ certainly outclassed Fireball in that match too.
What is this? Oh, the pulse bomb. Yeah, huge, mate. Huge.
It's a double kill. He got some damage onto someone else.
Yeah, no, it was huge. They got a lot of cart movement off the back of this. But I mean, they still lost, so.
No, but he got play of the game, so he won.
Give him a loot box or something.
Give him a loot box on this tournament server.
But I must say though that kill from I think it was Crappy and Kirez, and they managed to catch 9th down in the sneaky beaky spot there. How did he make noise, or did they catch him as he was running down?
I mean,
there?
unless they just happened to be going down that way, they must have heard him, or maybe they're just trying to cover all their bases. In any case, they did find him, and that's also a little bit on the side of Fireball, right? If K4 is looking there to get a magical pulse, tactical visor, that's really a bit of a gamble. If you get caught down there, you lose, and that's what happened.
I looked really, the reaction time was what was crazy.
Yeah.
Kerry's, you saw him looking in the wrong direction. He walked past 9th, immediately turned around. You know that the Anna trailer for introducing Anna, where she just turns around and is like, That's exactly what it was. Just like bam, straight away. It was like, what was the timing on that?
Yeah,
Like,
especially because I was thinking, oh, I didn't actually see Crappy, through the third-person view there, like, through the X-ray on the wall. Was thinking, oh, this is surely going to be ninth, picking up Ana there and then being able to sort of pop out and tactical visor the rest of the side there. But he's just like, I got the aimbot on,
it was
bro. Don't worry.
incredibly quick reactions. And after that as well, he actually got another sleep onto, I can't remember who, but right at the end as HQ were going in for the victory push. So as soon as his next sleep dart came off cooldown, bam, another target. Slept Apudo on Genji how many times tonight?
Yes.
Even on Eichenwalde, we just saw that as well. Just a sleep dart hitting so good. And it's a situation where Fireball were ahead. They should have won a fight. They had all the ultimates ready to go. Transcendence to keep themselves alive. Tac Visor to actually get the damage in there. Then all the resources. And HQ were coming in. I thought maybe HQ had to throw a fight. Charge ultimates. Nope, they can just find picks here and there. And bam, there you go. Everything you needed, everything Fireball had, just turned into nothing really quickly.
It just makes it so much better as well. It's kind of like the Black Watch, like the assassination support crew. You're like, okay, don't worry, we'll leave the tanks and the DPS up the front lines. We'll just go get him ourselves. The Crappy and Careers. I absolutely love that. But do you think if Ninth went for obviously the high ground instead of trying to opt for that sneaky little low ground position where he was just going to pop out behind them? Do you think that would work out?
I don't know if there was any, because what he should have done is where Dizzy was sitting, Ninth should have been looking to assassinate Dizzy with his tac visor and then immediately tac visor from that position himself in the same tac visor if necessary. So that would have been the perfect play for Ninth, and I feel like Ninth's hiding position was in fact he was going to come out on low ground and tac visor, and doing the high ground where Dizzy was would have been better.
I mean, at that point, hiding away in his little cubby hole, after the two supports ran around the corner, he probably could have just not shot them and they wouldn't have known he was there. It looked like they were about to run past him and just not even see him. And I mean, that's not really a viable option. It's more on Avril. Like, he should have been contesting Dizzy up on the high ground, but at that point, I feel like Fireball were just trying to run this very high risk, very high reward scenario.
I hope Kyrgios gets the MVP, because that was not just that, but all the sleeps he's hit tonight have just been nuts.
So that was sort of going to be my next point there, is that I think we didn't really see, there was a couple of sleep darts that were quite big in the Hong Kong Attitude series, but coming up against Fireball, I mean, is it because the movement's a little bit more predictable from the Fireball side? Or is it just now Perez has really warmed up? He's feeling, obviously, he's feeling himself.
No, he's just a freak.
He's feeling himself.
He's really just a freak.
Wow.
It's freak in a positive light.
Not only that, but there's less shields to play against. When there's a Winston, all you got to do is play around the bubble. Yeah, there's a Diva, but I mean, he's hitting targets where, oh look, Winston and Diva are both not here. Sweet, these are free darts because there's nothing else to block it.
I mean,
I guess also deflect, but he's able to still get a Puto deflect or not. It's just crazy.
Even all of that said, Sleep Dart is still a very hard shot to actually hit, especially
one of the hardest.
On the smaller targets as well. When you're getting huge value out of it, getting a Puto or NZNR, you sleep either of those guys, they're dead. They're still a very hard target to shoot. So even with the lack of Reinhardt, Zarya shields, Diva's not going to be eating her sleep darts. Still a very hard shot to hit, so you've got to give a lot of credit to this guy. I
think the other thing as well is that Apudo is just really not, like, he's obviously getting things done, but he really doesn't get a chance to shine against any of these sort of, I'd say even the top sort of 4 or 5 teams now, because he's just getting absolutely shut down when it comes to, obviously they're so prepared for that sort of Genji play, and with Genji sort of falling out of the meta, as you've mentioned now, they need to be able to sort of switch up their team composition. And I mean, having a look at obviously what they did go with throughout Eichenwalde, it's still the same composition that they played Control with.
The only change up is Kurlos. Is he going to play Zenyatta or Ana? Like, which one is it? That's basically what they can change, and it is hard because I don't know now if they can actually play a different style. And the other big problem is, even the style that they are playing, they're not really executing to its fullest potential anyway, so that's a problem. Like, if you're not even, you can't change, but even what you are playing is not good, then what do you do?
And I think in the earlier weeks as well, I think with Zalfix, we saw a lot of his Reinhardt in those earlier weeks, and he just looked like he was on his own team. You know, there was Firewall versus X team plus Zalfix.
That kind of looks like what a Ting looks like on Reinhardt currently, though, which is a bit of a problem in and of itself.
It's like when these Reinhardt players, they're like, I'm on my own team. I'm just going to charge in there. Hope you guys are with me, because
I don't know.
I'm going in.
I don't know if you remember, but on Hanamura, we watched Hong Kong Attitude attack. Yet a Ting on the ground as a Reinhardt, the rest of his team were going on the top right. A Ting just gets caught out and killed on the ground. It's just like, why were their teams not? Why were the players not together? Did they not? Was there not communicated where they were going to push? You have the solo Reinhardt there. This has been now a problem for both teams going up against AHQ that they've shown.
Because I was sort of going to say, do you think, obviously Fireball might need to start working on that Reinhardt play for them a little bit more, because this dive is obviously not working out too well for them in regards to, I guess, I've seen a lot of pro players, you know, not only that are playing in the OPC, but, you know, from a lot of those tournaments worldwide, and they talk about, you know, the communication and just the execution that's required to really pull off dive. And the fact is, it looks like Fireball, you know, have been doing this sort of, they tried to run that Reinhardt in the earlier weeks, switched over to dive pretty much. That's all we see coming out from them, and it just never really works out for them.
Well, it was an improvement. It was better than their shield.
True.
It was. But we can also say that as the first round robin actually went along, the first few teams they played were the likes of Blank, Flash Wolves, AHQ, and then they started playing teams like Machi and the two Japanese teams, and even Hong Kong Attitude, who they didn't beat. They did get shut down, but that was the first defeat we'd actually seen against them in a long time. So the improvement, it was definitely there. They definitely did start looking better, but it's hard to gauge the results 100% correctly and how much they improved just because of the teams that they started playing up against.
Well, we're currently seeing Fireball take on AHQ Esports. They do trail. They are down 2-0. Obviously, map 3 coming up, going to be AHQ's pick right after the break. Hello and welcome back to the Overwatch Pacific Championship Week 6, day number 2. I'm Dallas Easy Fighty. Joining me here on the couch, Matt Smite Ross and Kevin Averill Walker. We are currently in the back-to-back of AHQ. First up, they took on Hong Kong Attitude, taking them down 3-1. Currently taking on Team Fireball from Thailand, leading this one 2-0. And I think an interesting thing to note coming off of this here is if Hong Kong Attitude do pick up this next map, which it obviously is their pick as well, so things are in their favor there, will they be at the top of the leaderboard?
AHQ?
Yes.
Will be... Yeah. So they're currently on
I believe
11.
they
They will be on 12 after this. 12-2, which puts them at number 1.
So if we take a look at the leaderboard, we will have a very quick browse as to see, I think they will be indeed above Flash Wolves, you know, sitting on 12-2 there. So Blank only having one game as well tonight, so they won't even be able to really battle for the top position until tomorrow.
No, they won't be, but, you know, second round robin will be completed by tomorrow and everyone will have played a total of 14 games, and the prediction is that AHQ and Blank will still be at 12-2 apiece, which is quite exciting because the deciding game between those two teams will be had on Sunday evening. It is going to be Blank versus AHQ, and one of those teams has to get the first place, and the other team will definitely be in the second spot.
And can you imagine how Flash Wolves are feeling right now? They could be up there in that 12-2 spot had they not dropped that match to Machi Esports. They could be up there with the big boys, but instead they're just knocking on the door.
They're still up there with the big boys.
Okay, they are still up there. They're still in that group of the top 3 where you can see a significant difference between 3rd place and 4th place. Hong Kong Attitude are 3 wins behind Blank right now, and they've also finished all of their matches, by the way. They're not going to get a chance. They finished all the matches for the second round robin, right? So they played their 14 matches. They don't have a chance before the next one begins to even catch up to Blank or any of the other 2 teams.
And the other final sort of thing to come off that, well, actually, first up, AHQ have picked Hanamura, so we've obviously seen them be very dominant on this map. I expect nothing less coming up against Team Fireball. But after this series, Fireball are actually going to be taking on Machi Esports, and Machi's sitting on 6-7. I'd say Machi would be the favored team coming into this, as they've obviously looked so strong over the last couple of weeks, you know, improving by such a great deal there. That's going to put them equal with Hong Kong Attitude, so another tiebreaker to come as well. These two teams now looking very evenly matched, but getting into Hanamura, what can Fireball do?
A lot less evenly matched, I think. In fact, we almost saw when the first time Dizzy pulled up the mail, I was like, oh, it's XQQ all over again. It's almost looked a bit like that.
I wish, but it actually worked.
To be honest, I think he actually played Mei better than I've seen XQQ play Mei so far.
In
I don't know if
in
you
like the
agree with
5
that.
minutes that we saw
Yeah.
him play.
But I think so, like, to be really, like, pure aim mechanically, he got a lot more kills. So XQQ got some kills on these crazy headshots against Internet. What is it with, like, people playing Mei against Fireball?
Well, maybe it's a little bit of a practice for them, but I was also going to say, what is it with the DPS players playing Mei?
Yeah,
Well,
because the headshots on the right click are still, like, kind of,
okay.
Who else would you put on there? You'd have to play one of your tanks on there, in which case you just lose a tank straight up.
It's not really worth it. I mean, sometimes it's okay to like flex a Roadhog around, or if you're running triple DPS, like that's okay because you've got a lot of high mobility DPS that can generally just look after themselves. But with Mei, doesn't bring anything similar to that. You don't have like an extra tank. You also don't have a high mobility DPS. So unfortunately, you've just got to swap one of your DPSs onto it. And as Avril said, the headshots do a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's
and they
true,
do
true.
one-shot traces, which are in every single game.
It is true, since it is, I guess, I mean, it's not really fallen off on the pick rate, right? It is generally, I guess, the second most picked compared to Lucio, or third most picked compared to Lucio and Winston.
What is?
Tracer.
Tracer's like...
Traces in pretty much every
Tracer's like in every game, I know.
AHQ can sometimes opt to not run it.
HQ is one of the few teams that will not run a permanent Tracer. Flash Rolls run a permanent Tracer. Blank run a permanent Tracer. Even Muchie at this stage run a permanent Tracer.
So, Tracer, what is Apudo doing? Can we quickly switch over to what he is doing? It is the classic hand warm up here. Hopefully that is what the doctor ordered for Fireball now.
It's like a
there you
combination.
go.
It's a combination of doing his hand movements, but also like leaning really far back in his chair, which seems to be his thing. I don't see any other players doing that. I don't think he plays like that.
Patented.
But yeah,
Only
it's the Apudo special. Only he can do it.
Well, hopefully he was like, we were only losing because I didn't really, stretch my hands.
He did
here.
good, like, let's be honest, on that last attack on... one of the last few attacks on Eichenwalde for HQ, Apudo coming out with the Dragon Blade, immediately killing Dizzy, and I thought the first problem would be you go after Dizzy, which is correct most of the time, but I thought he would have been better contesting the cart because I thought the cart was just going to get the cap. So what would have been really disastrous would be him chasing Dizzy and then bam, there's a cap, and it's just like, wow, you should have contested. But no, his team got there in time, they cleaned up, they won the fight. So I think Apudo has his moments, but they leverage his Genji too much, and it's about time he hangs up the sword and picks up a gun or something like that.
Well, I mean, that's also the thing, right? Apudo does have his moments, and when he does, they're big. They get a lot of results. He even gets a lot of kills, almost single-handedly just cleaning up team fights for his team. But when he doesn't go big, he's sleeping. He's snoring on the ground, or he's just been one-shot, he's been hooked, he's been stunned, something goes wrong with his Dragon Blade, or he just doesn't find anything with it. Apudo either gets like 4 kills, or kills Dizzy and a few other guys, or just kills no one at all.
Well, I think that really comes down to, it's not so much, I guess, I guess pointed out to being a negative about Apudo as well, but it's more because the team they're coming up against is really being able to douse the flame of Fireball, it's not just on him, they're already killing, other Fireball members and then being able to reactively just run away from the Dragon Blade or run away whatever Apudo's going to be throwing at them. And yeah, I think Avril put it really well, hang up the sword, pick up a gun. I'd like to see the Apudo McCree come out. Something else, because obviously too much is falling on this Genji right now.
Unfortunately, I don't see that happening into Hanamura. I see him sticking to that Genji, and with the way that they play Winston...
Because it's Hanamura and Genji's from...
Yeah, he's got to honor Genji in his homeland, right? But also because Rocket is sitting there saying, sorry guys, I've got to play Winston, so we're going to have to run something like a Genji. You can fit Soldier in there, and AHQ have shown that they do that on Control. I don't think it's as much of an option that you can pull out on Hanamura, especially on attack.
Ninth actually had an alright Soldier that he pulled out. It wasn't Dizzy level, but it was acceptable. And what they could also try out is maybe they do a triple DPS, because they've been sticking to 2-2-2 for some time now as well. It's been kind of average. I don't know.
Don't think we're going to see these guys in the actual fight.
Wouldn't you love to see it though? The old offensive Hanzo, the offensive Bastion.
Offensive Junkrat.
Oh, that would be the jam. A little bit of Mei Mei.
Well, look at that. No surprises there. It's Dizzy hanging up on the rooftop. I'm sure we'll see the Tourbillon turret eventually.
He's put it in quite an aggressive position, I think, here, just to get himself some early charge, then going for that bridge. So a little bit different positioning rather than what he used for the side of Hong Kong Attitude. And I think this is quite a decent read coming out from AHQ. They sort of know Fireball are a little bit all over the place, and this is probably going to work out quite well for them. But Fireball taking a good route here, like this.
Yeah, just literally sprinting past the door, and this is why it's quite difficult to hold the choke point against dive compositions. They can just do that. They can just run past and not really worry too much about it. Now AHQ are going to be the ones sitting on the back foot here. Dizzy needs to get up into this high ground position and try and stay safe, and the remnants of the turret are there to remind him of what happens when you get out of position.
I would have really liked to have seen Fireball capitalize off that early aggression there and be able to take Dizzy down. But look at Dizzy, very smart player, manages to catch the flanker just up on the back side there. Apudo trying to do a little bit of flanking himself, get around the back of the point, and gets taken down by Crappy there, finding himself a great shot onto Apudo. And so now Fireball going to be needing to wait. Now AHQ being able to set up, the scrap obviously coming out and the armor being thrown out. Things are getting harder already for Fireball.
And if we look at the positioning as well of Lazy Titan during that fight, Dizzy was off on the high ground by himself, in fact taking care of himself against NZ and R, not calling up Lazy Titan, which means that he can be in the fight on the ground, he can be in the main fight, and just having a much bigger effect through a 600 hit point hero getting in the way.
So interesting to see if Fireball going to opt for that same route they've just taken prior, or are they going to go in to the right side? Looks like they already are getting control of the right house. This is going to be a little bit of a good moment for them to push in here. They have caught a couple of players out, but indeed they lose their own members without committing too much into that, and now forced back yet again.
It was an interesting path to take. I could see the reasoning behind it, just trying to get up to where Dizzy is, but losing 2 members at the start of it, and losing a member here as well, just going to buy AHQ so much more time. Now Fireball are looking at a position where they're moving into a Graviton Surge, a Molten Core, if that's going to come out. I mean, there's so many different combos that they can throw out. In fact, AHQ, let's
there
just say
it is right now. Graviton into self-destruct. Don't you just love to see it? Lazy Titan going to be taking Rocket down with that one. So Fireball still managing to survive through a lot of that. Now getting to answer back with a pulse bomb from NZNA, managing to catch Eric, getting him very low, but don't get a kill from it. And Fireball not committing through the back of this here, but NZNA round on the flank, trying to force AHQ off that choke point.
There was 2 ultimates for AHQ to use to hold it, but I mean, this is more time that they're going to have to defend.
Oh, Earth Shatter right into that as they use the sound barrier there. Huge charge by Eric to take Kurlos into this one. The Dragon Blade coming out from Apudo. He's picked up 1, but here's that Tac Visor. There's a double coming out from Dizzy, looking for a 3rd here. Self-destruct thrown out onto the point, buying themselves just a little bit of time. But will it be enough? It seems very unlikely. Lazy Titan actually out of the fight here. So now Dizzy, though, here to get the broomstick out and sweep up the rest of the Fireball members.
Crappy just throwing armor out as well, preparing his team for what's going to be the final fight on the first point of Hanamura. Fireball have 1 more shot here. Apudo's positioning has been given away as well. He won't be able to take out that turret. Oh no, just kidding. Reinhardt's going to be there to stop that happening. Fireball, they're swapping things up. They know they won't be able to get up to the ultimates. NZNR is now on the Farah, looking to take out the turret as well. But Dizzy will immediately try and shut that down.
Oh, Graviton coming through already. AHQ picking themselves up 4 quick kills into this one. Apudo gets himself a turret, but can you win off the back of that? Very unlikely. This is looking disastrous for Fireball. It looks like they've got nothing in the tank to push them over.
Yeah, with 20 seconds to go, it's going to be the Fireball members literally sprinting to the point, but AHQ have a composition that punishes that. You've got a Reinhardt who can stand at the very front door. NZNR is going to get shot down out of the sky. I mean, sure, Winston can jump over it. He can get a nano boost, but is that going to be enough?
Well, Dizzy's already taken down 9th into this. They really needed that damage being thrown out by the Tracer. They do pick themselves up a Torbjorn, but I mean, is that going to really be enough? Apudo's out of this one as well. Overtime is indeed ticking down. What can Fireball do to really keep this one alive? A lot of these high impact kills here, but it is still somehow being contested. Now, it's just going to be Dizzy walking his way onto the point. Earthshatter just wiping out Kurlos there as well. And surely this is going to be all that she wrote for Fireball now. A little bit of contest coming out from Rocket there. And AHQ holding this one down very easily on point number 1.
Well, that is not promising for Fireball. I don't think they even got it above 33%, which means this should be the easiest cap in the world for AHQ to come back in here. Their defense was solid. It shut down everything that Fireball tried to throw at them, and the one time Fireball thought they can get an advantage purely through ultimates, that was shut down too. Apudo could not find enough with his Dragon Blade, and Dizzy just completely enabled and half the time completely uncontested.
Well, I mean, if AHQ did a very, very decisive first point attack against Hong Kong Attitude, I don't see them doing anything else other than finishing the series up extremely quickly against Fireball. But hey, you never know. Fireball's sort of one of those teams to really surprise you on the day. So maybe they do have a little dance move coming out from Apudo. Maybe that's the secret. Maybe that's the secret.
Well, when you're down to pulling out dance moves to win on Hanamura, I think you know you're in a tough spot. And AHQ know that. AHQ know that they can push Fireball to the absolute limit for the very last second and still cap 33% right now. It's going to be not a very difficult push for them. Fireball, I don't believe that they run any Tourbillon kind of defense, and even if they did, that would be shut down by AHQ right now.
Now Fireball are playing dive.
Fireball playing dive? Oh, yeah. That's right. Of course, how did I forget? Of course, Rocket and that Winston is going to lock most of his team up into just a dive composition. Occasionally they can bring out a triple DPS. Occasionally that can work, but right now you need the longevity on this point here.
Okay, so they do get NZ now onto the Soldier, so it is a very welcome change coming out from Fireball here, finally doing something a little bit different. Moments away here from getting into the offense. Oh, please, Crappy, please. No, don't do this to me, man. Really was looking forward to seeing a Hanzo come out. Would have liked to have seen them change things up a little bit, but obviously, watch out for Kalman, just looking to get a pick around that hook and then really open the side of Fireball up.
Well, this is what they did earlier against Hong Kong Attitude. Literally just run through this building, under the bridge, get the high ground, and take the defender's position away from them. And sure, Fireball can back off, move to the other side of the point where they have about equal ground, but that's what Fireball is exactly what they don't want, right? AHQ can just sit there and put Dizzy in a fantastic position. Who's going to contest it? Rocket maybe can get up above them, but he needs to not get killed here.
It was a decent position to sort of pincer in AHQ, but pays for his life, and now Dizzy doesn't even need any high ground when the rest of AHQ are just being so aggressive. Now on the point, Apudo eating the biotic grenade as well makes a very quick kill there for Dizzy also, looking to pick themselves up another as well. And look at this player advantage now for AHQ, making such short work of Fireball, pouring a bucket of water all over the flames here. There is absolutely nothing that Fireball can do, and that's going to be all AHQ picking this map up, picking the series up 3-0. Who would have thought it?
Pretty fantastic back-to-back home day for them right now. 2 matches in a row. I don't think the home advantage would have mattered for either of them, but regardless, they're going to be pretty happy with those results, and as we said earlier, it's going to put them nice and square in that first place spot.
So yeah, now sitting pretty in that top position of the tournament, so AHQ can feel quite good about that. And I mean, what a performance, I guess, from the entire AHQ squad here. Really had a lot of big moments from all the players on the side of AHQ this evening. Fireball, though, looking a little bit cold.
Yeah, it's a real shame for them, and especially their fan base as well. I know they're a very popular team, being the only one from Thailand to represent their country here, and just they're in such an awkward position where they've only been proven to beat those 2 Japanese teams. In week 1, they beat Machi Esports, and that's fantastic for them. I don't think it was week 1, but round 1 of the round robin. But that's the last time they've beaten anyone that is not a Japanese team. And in fact, even Detonator were proving that they've started improving along the ranks as well. And while they still didn't take a map off of Fireball, they did bring it up 3-1. And also took it to a draw on Hanamura as well.
I mean, I really sort of like to know what Fireball's sort of practice, maybe their scrims are sort of like. Are they really trying to expand their hero pool? Are they trying to sort of change up the roles of everybody? Or are they just falling into, complacency here, just sort of trying to run the same composition? It's obviously not working out well for them. AHQ, one of those teams that have really changed things up, and it's obviously showing right now, sitting at the top of the table, looking very, very good, very, very dominant as well. Anything else to add to this, Big Apple?
I mean,
get some knowledge to preach.
What do we say about that? It's just
Well, you did
really
good prediction.
Yeah.
Good prediction.
Got that on lock. It's tough. It does look like you want Fireball to repeat Machi's success a bit, and you want for them to come in. In fact, you really want Detonator and Sun Sister to have that as well. And
Can all the
Machi kind of have proved, look, you can get yourself out of the gutter. It's now doing it, right? Can a Fireball capable of picking themselves up a little bit. That was a really harsh loss. I mean, when you have a situation where AHQ can come in on Eichenwalde fully behind and then still come massively out on top, you know, and for sure, like, it's really good plays by individual members like Kerry's, but at the end of the day, even when we look at what happened on Hanamura, the total difference in what was displayed, AHQ just kind of walk in, very casual, not a lot of competition, and then just bam.
The only real competition, I've got to say, was Rocket and his Winston. I mean, you can see it there. This is, what is that? 3, 2, like, I don't know, 6 halves in a row where he's played Winston, and it does mean that the rest of the
like
team.
3 weeks in a row he's played
three
Winston.
weeks in a row. No, okay, he did swap to Reinhardt at the very end of the King's Row
That's true.
last week, so it broke the record, broke the streak. But it does lock his team into this composition. They do have to run time. It's basically a requirement for them because it doesn't leave a lot of room for the rest.
It's not even the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that they're not even playing. They're not able to get the dive going properly because technically, Blank kind of run dive. They've been running only Winstons as well, except they're still winning. It's a big difference. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Nice. The big man himself, you know, sleep darts for days. From start to finish in their back-to-back here, just making every enemy they come up against, just putting them straight to bed.
It was absolutely
Tucking them
devastating.
in.
Tucking them in, reading them a good night story. Nah, he's not that nice.
He did, when he did get that fantastic sleep dart, you know, down in Eichenwalde, winning the game for them, did give a hearty hello.
Oh, did he drop the
Oh,
older?
He did.
A hearty hello.
A hearty hello.
You love to see it. You love to see it. Well, that's going to be AHQ picking up their back-to-backs very, very convincingly. 3-1 against Hong Kong Attitude, 3-0 against Team Fireball. After that, we're going to have Fireball now getting another shot. They're going to be taking on Marchi Esports. This is where their real test will be. We'll really get to gauge if they have made any improvements. Obviously, coming up against a side like AHQ, it is sort of somewhat hard to see. Marchi maybe a little bit more on their level, or have Marchi left them well in the dust? I think that's the real question that we're sort of going to be finding out. When we return after the break, you are going to be joined by the world famous moustache. It is going to be Pixie himself. I've been Dallas Easy Fight City. Thank you very much. We're going to go to a break, and when we return, we'll have all the action.